Hello students of class 12. I am Indrani ma'am and welcome back once again to my biology class. In our last class we have learned till pollination. Now today we will learn about the agents of pollination. Now, agents of pollination, what do you mean by this term? From this term it's very easy to know that those agents which are causing the process of pollination or helping in the process of pollination. So what type of agents for pollination are involved? One can be abiotic agents, another can be biotic agents. Abiotic means you know the non-living components of the environment. The non-living components, which non-living components play a vital role in the process of pollination? One can be wind, another can be water. Okay, and from the biotic agents means the animals or the living components of the environment are known as biotic agents. So the animals means those animals which are helping in the process of pollination, like reptiles, mammals, insects and different type of birds which are helping in the process of pollination. Now adaptation for water pollination, or in other words we can say as hydrophyly. Now what is hydrophyly? Hydro means water. The form of pollination in which pollens are distributed by water is called hydrophyly. Understood? And it is very commonly found in different types of algae, bryophyte, pteridophyte and some angiosperms also. Example you can give Vallisneria, hydrilla. These are submerged freshwater plants or freshwater hydrophytes in which the process of hydrophyly is observed. In seagrasses also, female flowers, they are also submerged in water and they receive the pollen grains for pollination inside the water. Pollens in these type of plants are long, they are needle-like and they are very easily and passively carried by water current. In which direction the water will flow, the pollen grains also will be flowing in that direction of water. Zostera is also another example of marine angiosperms in which hydrophyly process can easily be observed. In Vallisneria what happens? The female flower stalk, those are coiled structures and they can reach the water surface to receive the pollen which is carried by the water current. Now in these type of pollen grains which are water pollinated, those pollen grains should have some mechanism, otherwise it will get rotten in the water. So these pollen grains are protected from wetting by the process or by the presence of mucilaginous covering. So this mucilaginous covering will provide a very smooth surface on the pollen grains so that it does not get destroyed or rotten by the water current or when it stays in water for a long time. Thereby protection is given by this mucilaginous covering. Next is adaptation for wind pollination. Wind pollination, or in other words we can say as anemophily. Now this type of pollination, the wind distributes the pollen grains. This is known as anemophily. The wind plays a major role in the transfer of the pollen grains. Now the pollen grains should be very light in weight, it should be non-sticky, it should be dry and it should be winged. Otherwise these cannot be carried away easily by the air or by the wind. Now the stamens of these type of flowers, are well exposed outside for easy dispersal of pollen grains in the wind, so that the wind can easily reach or easily carry the pollen grains. And the stigma will be very sticky, very large and feathery. Why? So that the pollen grains can be easily trapped, which are floating in the air. The pollen grains which are floating in the air can be easily trapped, can be easily fixed on the stigma. Therefore, it is very sticky. And in these type of flowers, numerous flowers are packed together to form inflorescence. Next, how are insect pollinated flowers adapted, or entomophily? Entomophily. The form of pollination in which the insects distribute pollen grains is called entomophily. Understood? Here insects play a vital role in the transfer of the pollen grains. Now flowers in this case, how it will be? They are very large, sticky, and they are brightly colored to attract the insects. Honey and nectar glands also are present because they are highly fragrant, so that the insects can easily be attracted. Understood? And how will be the pollen grains in this case? They will be very sticky. Why? They are having sticky surface because their exine layer is present, and the stigma is sticky due to the mucilaginous secretion. The flowers, what they do? They offer floral rewards. Floral rewards means the nectar, honey, these are present, so that the insects will be very easily attracted due to the color or due to the honey, and in their body parts the pollens will be easily sticked, and they can transfer this pollen from one flower to the other. And in sometimes some flowers are there which secrete out very foul odor. Foul odor means very bad odor, bad smell. So some insects are there who are easily attracted to the bad smell also, like flies and beetles. So these flies and beetles type of insect will be very attracted to the foul odor, and they will be sitting on the floral parts, and in that way the pollen grains can be easily transferred from one flower to the other. Our next topic is pollen pistil interaction. Now what is pollen pistil interaction? All the events from pollen deposition on the stigma until the entry of the pollen tube into the ovule are together termed as pollen pistil interaction. This process is very dynamic, and here pollen recognition is a must, and this is a very vital aspect. Identification or recognition of the pollen grains should be done, and the pollen grains should be compatible, and those incompatible pollen or the sterile pollens, they are rejected by the pistil and they do not allow the growth of the pollen tube. And those compatible pollens which are easily adjusted to that flower, they are encouraged by pistil for growth and development of the pollen tube. Understood? The pollen tube will grow slowly through the stigma and style, and they will reach the ovary. It will then enter the ovule through the micropyle, and they will reach the synergids, which are guided by the filiform apparatus. In these type of pollen pistil interaction, you have to draw the diagram of this pollen pistil interaction. Understood? Next term which we will come across is the artificial hybridization. Artificial hybridization, this process, this is a very commonly used technique used in the plant breeding program to obtain the desirable characters. Now what is done here? Artificial hybridization means hybridization which is done artificially. This hybridization is done both for the plants and also for the animals. Now here in this chapter we will learn about the artificial hybridization of plants. For artificial hybridization, what happens? The anthers, or that is the male portion of the flower, are removed from the bisexual flowers by using forceps. This process is known as emasculation, and that is done before the anther dehisces. Now what is done with this emasculated flower? This emasculated flower is covered with a paper bag. Why? So that the contamination of the unwanted pollen is stopped. These are wrapped. This process is known as bagging technique. Now after this is left for some days, after this process, when it gets matured, the matured pollens from desirable plants are dusted on the stigma of the bagged flower, and they are rebagged again for fruit development. Understood? Our next topic is double fertilization or triple fusion. Now from the diagram you have seen what's the synergid. If you have a book, you can follow the diagram. When it reaches the synergid, the pollen grains releases two male gametes into the cytoplasm of the synergid. One of the male gamete fuses with the egg nucleus and they form a diploid cell which is known as zygote. And this event or this process is known as syngamy. Now what happens to the other male gamete? The other male gamete, it fuses with the polar nuclei at the center and they produce a diploid primary endosperm nucleus. In short, we say as PEN, P-E-N. This is known as triple fusion. As the process of syngamy and triple fusion, they take place simultaneously in the embryo sac, then it will be termed as double fertilization. Understood? And the central cell, after the process of triple fusion, they form primary endosperm cell, PEC, primary endosperm cell, which will later develop into endosperm. And after that, the zygote, after the process of multiple division, will develop into an embryo. Understood? Till this much today. We will continue the remaining portion in our next class. Thank you.